These hallowed grounds tell a tragic story. One of uncommon heroism and terror from the gilded tower that looms above.
Hundreds of people running everywhere.
That fear that this was going to just be the first part of a multifaceted attack.
Over the last year, much of that night has remained a mystery.
We're trying to get more information now.
How and why? At first, all we knew was what we saw captured on cell phones. But after a 10-month-long investigation by law enforcement in coordination with MGM, using surveillance videos, body cameras,
let's go.
Radio traffic,
Coming from upstairs, I see the shot coming from Mandalay Bay.
and a 3D model,
32nd floor.
we can now present one of the most comprehensive views of a mass shooting ever, exposing gaps in our system and showing the response moment by moment.
Everybody's dead here, okay?
October 1st, 2017, Mandalay Bay security officer Jesus Campos is on a routine security check, assigned to a room alarm on the 32nd floor.
This was the last call of my night.
You were heading home in your head.
In my head, I was home free after this.
He has no idea he's about to become an accidental hero on what would become one of the most horrific nights in American history. As shown in this rendering provided exclusively to ABC News by MGM, once on the 30th floor, he takes the stairs up to the 32nd, but finds the exit door jammed. So he walks up to the elevator and takes it back down.
When did something seem off to you?
When I noticed the metal L bracket that was secured, that hold the door secured.
That bracket, strategically placed there by a man staying in the suite just a few feet away.
I didn't know what was going on, just simply because that's not normal. I had to call our security dispatch. I was transferred to engineering dispatch.
As he walks back into the hallway to check that room alarm, turns out a nanny a few doors down left their door ajar. He hears a strange noise coming from that suite.
I thought it was drill noises.
Like drilling.
Drilling.
The massacre has just begun. Across the street, just moments before, Jason Aldean had taken the stage in the final night of the Route 91 Harvest Festival. Bullets rain down on the 22,000 concertgoers packed into the open-air venue.
That's just a firecracker.
I know, but why would you do that?
Confusion mixes with panic.
There's people just running everywhere. Nobody knows where to go.
In under a minute, over 100 rounds are fired into the crowd. Concertgoers flood 911.
There's numerous reports coming in. We have 33 calls holding. It's an active shooter.
It's fireworks!
Some dispatchers met with chilling silence.
Hello, 911. Hello, 911.
As the shooter launches his attack, back on the 32nd floor, Campos, who is unarmed, continues walking down this hallway. He passes a room service cart that the shooter has rigged with surveillance cameras. It's either that or the sound of the stairwell door closing that alerts the shooter. He fires through the door and at Campos.
317 control.
I was struck and I went to get cover. I had to take a moment to realize what was going on.
Suddenly you're under fire.
Yes, I went to go lift up my pant leg and I saw the blood coming down.
Campos takes cover in this doorway alcove.
There's about a 2 feet indent. It's enough to lean back and stay back.
312.
He radios for help.
Hey, there's shots fired in 32135.
The shooter turns back to the concertgoers below and fires over 250 more rounds in the next 4 minutes. Las Vegas Metro police officers respond to the scene.
Control, misadvising there are people down on stage left.
We have multiple casualties. CSWs in the medical tent. Multiple casualties.
Control, be advised, shots are coming forward, coming from stage.
Here, cover. No, come here. Hey, get behind cover.
But they too come under attack.
Can you see where it's come from?
No.
The officers are pinned down by automatic gunfire. Officer Brady Cook is shot. The moment captured on another officer's body camera.
We're going down. You shoot first. Go to that wall. Pump that wall. Go. Get over the wall.
Wait, what do we have though? Did they say they have them?
Probably two active shooters.
The echo of gunfire through the strip leads to mistaken reports of shooters in multiple hotels.
Just reporting a shooting at the Tropicana Hotel.
At the Tropicana?
Yeah. There's been a lot of confusion. We're not exactly sure where the shooting is.
Police now concerned this may be part of a coordinated plot. Deputy Chief Andrew Walsh responds to the scene.
What sticks with me is that fear, that pain in my stomach, that this was going to just be the first part of a multifaceted attack.
There's an active shooter, possibly not confirmed, terrorist related, of 3 shooters so far.
We're getting reports of shots fired at New York, shots fired at Tropicana. We don't know if they're diversion tactics or not.
Back in the hotel, 2 key moments are happening almost simultaneously. Across the Mandalay Bay from the shooter's position, guards in the security office are getting news of what's happening at the concert.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Watch as the officers head out and across the casino floor towards an exit door, thinking the threat is outside.
Armed units only.
Meanwhile, Stephen Schuck, an engineer, is riding an elevator to the 32nd floor in response to Campos's earlier call about that L bracket. Pushing his maintenance cart, he walks out of the elevator and straight into danger.
I started to hear the shooting out towards the crowd. Well, I didn't know that at the time. I had no idea what was going on at the time.
What did it sound like to you?
It sounded like a jackhammer because you never expect to hear something like that.
I noticed him. I said, get cover, it's not safe. At that moment in time, there was more rounds being dispersed.
Suddenly, Schuck himself is under fire.
Something hit me in the back as I was jumping into cover. At the time, I was like, oh, you know, I might be shot.
Someone's firing a gun up here. Someone's firing a rifle on the 32nd floor down the hallway.
Those men from the security office hear Schuck's alert and hustle towards the elevators.
I thought if I don't come out of this hallway alive, I wanted to communicate for Metro and first responders to get up there because this is where the shooter is.
Stay down.
Every second that Campos and Schuck are under fire on the 32nd floor is a chance for the concert goers below to flee.
We're going to get trampled if we don't go.
So all those people had fled in that direction when the gunshots rang out.
A lot of people did, yeah. I mean, people
Right.
went in multiple directions, but not knowing where the rounds were coming from, you know, people fled.
For Paige Melanson, running was an agonizing choice. She and her mother were both shot.
We rolled her over, and a retired firefighter came over, and he told us that we had to go. He said that if we wanted to live, that we needed to go. I looked into his eyes, and he said, you need to go. So I did. We were jumping fences, jumping walls, going through. We ended up in the Tropicana.
Paige and her sister fled, leaving their mom, Rosemary, behind in the care of a stranger.
Once I was shot, I fell down. Stephanie and Paige were hanging over me, saying, Mom, just screaming my name, Mom. And next thing I know, my body just floated. Floated up. I could hear the gunfire. I could see everybody. I could see my own body laying down there. The next thing I know, I was in heaven. And I saw my dad and my 2 brothers and my uncle. And it was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. You didn't want to come back. They just told me, it's not your time, Rosemary. You gotta go back. It's not your time. So next thing I woke up, I was on a gate that they put me on that dragged me to the ambulance.
You remember that?
Yeah, but only like 20 seconds of it. And then the rest of it, I don't remember nothing.
That retired firefighter kept his word, getting her to safety.
Come on, guys!
Hundreds flood into the nearby streets.
Let us walk! There's gunfire! Let us go! Is she shot too?
Where they set up makeshift triage wards.
I'm going to sit down and you're going to sit on my knee, okay? Okay, he's not shooting at you. I need help over there.
Okay. We hanging in there?
Okay, I gotta keep that pressure, sweetheart.
The situation's so dire, police officers step in as paramedics.
You see officers stopping to render aid. You see officers bleeding from bullet wounds.
Can you get an ambulance here, like real quick? They're all coming right now. Okay, because she got a gunshot to her lungs.
No, okay, listen.
The injured carried away any way they can.
Oh my God.
Hurry up!
Right now, we need your truck. We just need to get people over to the hospital, okay?
Okay.
Hey, we have room in here. We have room for one in the neck.
In the midst of the chaos, police work to keep everyone calm.
Hang in there, please. Hang in there. You guys are going to be okay. We'll be back.
Started off just like any other normal shift. Brandon was my trainee that night. It was his second night on the job.
Rookie Brandon Engstrom and veteran officer Richard Cole were just beginning their graveyard shift when the shooting began.
Our sergeant had the radio on. Shots came out over the radio. So immediately he yells at us to go to our cars.
Just be advised,